Hello, darlings, and welcome to Wake Up and Show Up Live. I am your host, Portia Scott. This is your daily show, giving you a daily dose of inspiration and empowerment to take your life off autopilot. How is everyone doing? I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Let me know. Let me know. I checked my mic to make sure that everything was working. So hello, darling. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, Zetta, so much for joining, darling. Thank you, Ty. Marty's on. Thank you, darling. Hello, hello, hello. You guys, let me know that you can hear me. So somebody type yes in the comments if you can hear me, because I want to make sure nothing's going on with our sound. So as always, I want to know, darling, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? Let me tell you, I just want to give a big shout out to every educator across the world. Every educator. Hello, darling. Thank you so much for the work that you do, because just before now, I was homeschooling, as we all are. All of us parents are homeschooling. And so I just want to thank educators, because I'm telling you, my son, however, he is really, really good and really excited about math. So honestly, some of the stuff that he's doing, I'm like, no, you do it like this. He's like, no, mom, we don't do it that way. What? What are you saying? I went to the college. I know how to do math. I clearly know how to do first grade math, but they are teaching kids in a way that's actually good, because what it does is it does speak to their analytical minds, where a lot of times when we were growing up and we were learning, what we were learning was how to take tests and how to memorize stuff rather than how to analyze how I get to the answer. So I'm grateful for education. I'm grateful for technology. Yes, Ty says, I am grateful for my hubby. Yes, yes, yes. Hakeem, we're sending you a shout out, darling. Yes. So you guys, I'm super excited about today's show. One of the things you guys know we love to do is an act of kindness. And this week I have been really focusing on you guys and saying that I want you to make sure that you're giving yourself grace and you're showing up for yourself and being kind for you. Because if you are not kind for you, if you are not kind to you, you are not going to be good for anybody else. So that, my friends, is our act of kindness for today. So you guys, I am super excited about today's episode, today's talk. I want you guys to talk back to me, because this is something that I feel like we all of us have a thing with, is our non-negotiables, and knowing what those are and what they look like, because sometimes they change. So let us know as you guys are coming in. Say hello, darling. How are you? What are you guys grateful for? One of the things that we always do is we support our community. And as part of our community, if someone in the comments is saying something that resonates with you, you know what you got to say. Hello, darling. If I say something, or when we have a guest, when they come on, if they say something, we always say, hello, darling. That's our way to know that we are on track. So I know Ty is grateful for her husband. I am grateful for every single educator across the land, because let me tell you, that is not my profession, teaching first grade and seventh grade. I am now learned that. And so while I think I'm great at all things, I am not great at that, and probably my kids more so, because I think it's hard for us to teach our own kids. But let's go ahead and let's get into the comments. If you guys are ready, hit 111, hit the number 1 in the comments. So I know you guys are ready. I know that you guys are ready, and we are getting ready to get into the content today. So I thought about this, and when I thought about non-negotiables yesterday, we had an incredible time as I was going through, and we did the live podcast recording. Yay! I'm super excited. So that recording goes live tomorrow. So one of the things that we talked about my relationship and how me and John met. And one of the things, hey, Tamika, thank you so much for joining. One of the non-negotiables, when we came into our relationship, we each had our own. One of mine was, you can never put your hands on me. Never. You can never act like you're going to put your hands on me. You can never look into my eyes and I think you're going to put your hands on me. And so that was just one thing. If you guys have listened to Why Do We Stay, that's a bonus episode on the podcast. You can go run over there so that you really know why I said that and the meaning behind that. And so the reason why is because somebody had put their hands on me before. And so when I was going into a relationship, a marriage, as serious as John and I were, I was like, my non-negotiable is like, I don't care how mad you get. I don't care how bad your temper is. You can never hit me. That was like my non-negotiable. I had some other ones, right? He needed to go ahead and he needed to have a job, which he did. I knew he had a job because I met him pretty much on his job while he was in Iraq and I was in Iraq. So those were one of my non-negotiables. And I think about that all the time because how often do we make decisions based on whether or not we fit in to somebody else's expectations or to somebody else's non-negotiables? And so oftentimes when we're trying to fit in with the cool kids, or we want to be a part of this organization, or we want to be part of this, it's more of them telling us who we need to be and fall in line with them rather than us taking the approach to say, do they fit in with us? Do they fit into my non-negotiables? Do they fit into the things that I believe? And I say this because a couple of years ago, well, not a long time ago, when I had my daughter, I made a decision. John and I both made the decision that I was going to stay at home. I wanted to stay at home with Miracle for a year because I wanted to see those first steps, that first laugh. I wanted to see all the first, and I didn't want it to come from somebody else. And I had the opportunity to do that. And I'm so grateful. So I stayed at home for a year, but I knew I could not do it long term. I loved working. I loved going into the office and talking to people. And I loved all of that. Right. And so I knew it would be a year. So my year came up probably around, she's born in June. So around June, July is really when I was like, okay, I'm ready to go to work. But I didn't do any looking for work or anything like that until like August. So I looked for work in August. We were in Boston and there was this amazing opportunity that came up as an executive assistant. And I was like, yes, I'm going to go get that job. Y'all, let me tell you, you think I was a good project manager? You think I'm a good project manager? Let me tell you, I am the bomb executive administrative assistant. But the problem was I like to be in control. So that's the only issue that I had with being an assistant, is that I like to be in control. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So I go and I kill it. I killed the interview, and I know I didn't kill the interview. My resume was good. Everything was right. I was waiting for them to call me back. I had to send them in some stuff that I had done before just so that they can see my work. It was amazing. And I get a call back and they tell me I didn't get the job. And it was with a gas company there in Boston. And they tell me, hey, Thomas, they tell me I didn't get the job. And one of the reasons why I didn't get the job was because on one of my spreadsheets, one of the tabs, I didn't specifically put a name. I put the name on one of the tabs, what it was, but the second one I didn't. Small detail, but listen, that was fine. So I was really disappointed. Really disappointed. We had to drive by this company because it's big. It's on the highway, and we had to drive past there. And I remember being extremely disappointed. And I remember my husband saying, "Don't worry, they're just not good enough." And I was like, I never thought of it like that. And then I started to think about, you know what I never looked at? I only looked at the salary. I only looked at the benefits, but I never looked at their culture. I never looked at how they treated their employees. I never looked at what they believe, what were their core values, what were their mission statements. And so it was funny because I wanted to be there because of the salary, but maybe they weren't good enough for me. Maybe they didn't answer my non-negotiables, and I would not have known that until I had got in there until I had started working. And once that happened, that shift happened, when I started looking for jobs, when I started looking for different things, it was not just about whether I fit their culture. Oh, no, no, no. But do you fit my culture? Do you answer my non-negotiables? And what are those non-negotiables? For me, I wanted to work with organizations. And this is even in my life now, that I want to work with people and for people. Now I have the great opportunity to say, yes, I want to work with that person. Yes, I want to work with that organization, or no. And I want to work with people that are integral. I'm not saying that they were, because I don't know. But what I am saying is, just like I was trying to get the job, we are oftentimes trying to go after stuff just so we could fit in and just to see if we fit in with their culture. But what about our culture? What about when we're looking at friendships, when we're looking at relationships, when we're looking at what we want? What do you want? Do you look at those non-negotiables that, for me, before I was going to get married, that he had to know, you can't be putting your hands on me. I'm telling you, because one of us won't make it out here alive. And when I'm looking at working with different people, for me, integrity is very big. Not perfection, but integrity is very big. And so I'll tell you this story. One of the things that, as a podcaster and running a media company, it is important that you have network and that you have relationships. And some of those relationships come when you do different podcasts for other people, when you bring people on your show. All of these things matter. It's a big networking thing. And so I had the opportunity that I was going to bring somebody on the show, and this particular person had a large audience. And so my podcast would have been in front of a large audience. And I was amazed, and I was excited about some of the stuff that was happening within the owner. And I thought it was cool. I thought the message fit. And here comes the non-negotiables. So I don't care how big your idea is. I don't care how small you think your idea is, your following, your church, your ministry, whatever it is that you're doing, that you serve people, you should have some non-negotiables. And for me, when this particular thing came up, this is when I knew what my non-negotiable was. I always knew it was integrity, but I am very professional. So when you come on the Wake Up and Show Up podcast, you get an email, you get introductions. We do all of these things. And so I sent out the email to remind, as a reminder of the call. And I got an email back that said, well, I want to tell you that this is not going to be the introduction. This is going to be the recording. So I had to put my big girl panties on, and I had to be the owner of Portia Scott Media and the owner of Wake Up and the Wake Up and Show Up podcast. And I sent an email back because, things get lost in translation. And one of the things that, so she came back and she says, no. And so I say, well, let's talk, because I don't want anything to get lost in email, tone and all of that. Those things get lost in email. So anyway, we had this conversation, and she is trying to convince me that we are going to do the actual interview that day. And I said, we're not going to do the interview this day. This is the reason. Yes, it puts people through more hoops, but you know what it delivers? It delivers a better product, because it's different when you are even the host. Sometimes you may not interview well, and you may have been on 1,000 other interviews, but this is my baby. This is my creative design, and I'm not just going to put it out to my audience as whatever. And it was in that moment that I had to make a decision. Was it worth being put in front of 20K people, or was my integrity most important? And it was in that moment that I had to say, you know what? I think we're at an impasse, and I don't think we'll be able to move forward with the interview at this time. And so, because I stand by what I believe, what I'm putting out into the world, that yes, I may have said no to 20,000 people being able to hear my message, but you know what? I felt so good to the people that I serve, knowing that I was not going to give you this, because the thing is, when we had that conversation, I got to hear her character. I got to hear what was really most important. And what was really most important was just getting in front of most people she could. And it didn't matter about the podcast, didn't know the name of the podcast, actually had to ask me that. And if you have to ask me that, then you don't really care about my audience. And so when I talk about those non-negotiables, it is so important because to me, non-negotiables really are boundaries. And when we talk about boundaries, I like to say, it is my determination of what I allow in my peace and how I protect my space. It is what I allow is what I allow in my space and how I protect my peace. That is what boundaries means to me. And so for me, I couldn't allow that in my space and I wouldn't have had peace because I would have delivered a product that I was not proud of, that I know the only reason why they even wanted to be on the podcast because I was just one other person in the podcast circuit that could be used. And so while yes, sometime when we are standing firm on what we believe, it means that you say no to something, but yes to something else. So listen, this is how it came back around. I said no to that. I stood on it. You guys have no idea because the people who listen to the podcast, you guys don't know what was going on. But I was so happy that I was integral to my community who didn't even know what was going on. But I said no to that. But prior to that, I wrote an email to a young lady. I read her book and it was phenomenal. And I wrote this email to her and I realized that she didn't have an email address, but she actually has a staff that, helps her out and that runs that for her. And I was like, oh, I'm not sending this email out to them. They will never say no. They will never say yes. And I held on to that email, y'all, easily for 5 months. Easily for 5 months, I held on to that. The other week, I said, you know what? I'm going to send this email as anyway. You know why I sent it? Because I was doing this show and I was challenging you guys to face your fears. And I was challenging you guys to go after those things that you desire. And I was challenging you guys to execute. And it caused me to say, I need to execute. And I sent that email. And this person has way more followers, which I didn't even care about her followers. I cared about her story. I sent the email out. Within an hour, I got an email back that she was going to do the interview. And we did the interview yesterday. And I'm going to keep it a secret for a while. And then when we go live with the interview, I'm going to put it out. She was so kind and so sweet. And so I say that because I said no to somebody else, but somebody else said yes to us. And that is, I think, because we put out a product that we stand by. We put out a product that we believe in. We put out content that's authentic. And even though everybody that listens may not even understand or like it, but you have to say that it's authentic to who I am. And so I say that because when I'm creating these boundaries, it is my determination of what I allow in my space and how I protect my peace. And so I determine how people are going to treat me. That's number one. When we are setting those non-negotiables and those boundaries, I determine how people are going to treat me. We teach people how to treat us. And so we were not able to do that interview with the other person. But what I'm sure is that she now knows if she ever comes around us, if we ever are in the same place, it's a small playing field, that she knows how to treat me because I was very clear about the boundaries. I was not bending the rules. I was not doing different things. And so it is our responsibility to determine how people are going to treat us. And so it is because we have those non-negotiables, but we stick to those non-negotiables. And some of them may change. But when it comes to the boundaries of how people are going to treat me, That doesn't change. You're going to treat me the way that I would treat you, and I'm going to treat you with the utmost respect. I'm going to love you. I'm going to be there for you. And every relationship is different, and people are different. But in business, I'm going to be integral. I'm going to be open. This month, you guys, this month, everybody put hello, darling, because let me tell you, working for yourself is hard. It is hard work. And this month, as part of the Portia Scott Media Suite, we are releasing under the Portia Scott Media name 2 podcasts. The creators are autonomous, but we help develop them, and we're releasing 2. We are releasing 2. And the one thing that they both know is that I'm going to stand behind them, is that I'm going to be integral in our dealings, is that I'm going to work with them. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give feedback that is honest but caring. And so you teach people how to treat you. That's number one. And then when I'm looking at my non-negotiables, I determine who I allow in my space. I determine who I allow in my space. So it's kind of like this. If you have a whole bunch of people over your house, right? So you may have family, you may have friends, you may have real good friends, you may have acquaintances, you may have coworkers come over to your house, right? Just imagine we are on the beach. We are in the beach house. We are overlooking the Pacific. You guys, the waves are coming off of the water. We are outside having a good time. The wind is blowing lightly to where you could still feel the warmth in the air, but then you got a little breeze. You know, we are just having a great time. The food is magnificent. The decor is amazing. And all these people are here. They're all here in the house. But there's certain spaces that certain people can go. So you as a coworker or you as just an acquaintance, you just get the space around where everybody else is. You get to go out to the deck. You may be able to go downstairs to the basement. You can stay in the kitchen and living room area, the open area where we are. You can go to the powder room, bathroom, but you can't go upstairs because you don't have access to that. You don't know me that way. And so you only have access to what I give you access to. So when we talk about non-negotiables, when we talk about boundaries and your determination of what and who you allow in your space and how you protect your peace, number 2 is who I allow in my space. And every space is different. So yes, you can come to the party, you can hang out on the deck, you can go downstairs in the basement, but you can't go to my bedroom. You can't go upstairs in my loft. You cannot go into my master bathroom because you don't have access there, because you have a certain area where you have space. And so when we talk about our non-negotiables, when we talk about boundaries, everyone doesn't have the space. Everyone doesn't belong in the secret spaces, in the crevices. They don't belong on the front row, right, of my life. They can see from the bleachers, but you can't have a front row seat because those front row seats are reserved for people that know me, that can be trusted. And so everybody can see, but there's certain spaces that you just can't go or that you just can't be. We can all be at the party, but everybody has their space. And when I know where people's space is, then I am less likely to have the wrong expectations. I don't expect my acquaintance to treat me the certain way that I expect my husband or my sisters or my good friend. I don't have that expectation. And so that means that our relationship is great because I don't have that expectation, because I know where I allow and who I allow in those spaces, right? So we can all be at the party, we all hanging out, but you can't go where everybody else goes unless you are part of that. And you make those determinations based on trust, based on loyalty, based on whatever it is for you, you know, that somebody can be there. And then number 3, it's how I protect my peace. It's how I protect my peace. And so while we're all at the same party and while we can all be on the balcony and some people can be upstairs, somebody may not be invited. And what does that mean? That is because my peace is so important to me that I decide what I allow in my ear gates, in my eye gates, in my mouth. I decide, I make that decision. Those are my non-negotiables, that I make a decision of who I want in my ear, who I want, what I want to see, and what I want to speak. And so it doesn't mean that because people are different or they don't think the way that I think. No, 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 no. We can be friends, we can be associates, but there are certain non-negotiables when it comes to being able to walk around the house as you will. Being able to go into the secret places and the crevices of my life is because I have those non-negotiables. So even when I'm dealing with things in business, like I talked about that interview, one of the non-negotiables is that I am going to be integral. And the way that that person kind of treated me on the phone, that let me know that, yeah, my community isn't even going to receive this, because they'll know what kind of person you are. They'll know your character. And so that's why it's so important that we know what are those non-negotiables, just not of people, but of the decisions that we make. I told you guys about the story when I was working for a company and they wanted me to do something that for me was on the edge of my integrity. And so I told them, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And let me tell you, when you have your non-negotiables, when you have your boundaries, people respect it. A lot of times we don't want to say anything about boundaries or anything like that because we are afraid that people won't respect it. We're afraid that people will deny us something or will tell us no. And you know what? To be quite honest, somebody may tell you no, but in the end, you stand firm on who it is that you are, your non-negotiables. That's just it. I am not negotiating this. I am not going to trade integrity for money. I am not going to trade character for influence. I am not going to trade anything to be at a table when I won't even believe in it if I had to do those things to get there. So when I get there, I could sleep at night. That's the reason for my boundaries. That's the reason for my non-negotiables, is because I want to determine who and what I allow in my space and how I protect my peace. And so, yeah, I may have given up being in front of 20,000 followers. Okay, but I get to sleep at night. And that matters more. And so it is what matters more to you and the boundaries that you have for that. And so I'm telling you, for me, I was just like, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I have to be able to sleep at night. And for me, I have little ones, right? And so one thing that this quarantine has taught me more than teaching is, or more than being a homeschool parent or being able to teach them math and science, is being able to teach them how to be people of character. And the way that I do that is to show them this, is to take them on the journey. I talk to my kids about what happened. Why? Because it's important that they know that, you know what, some of those decisions you have to make, I have to make those same decisions. They look different, but I have to make decisions whether or not I'm going to lie, whether or not I'm going to be integral, whether or not I'm going to have character, whether or not I'm going to stand on this. And people appreciate it. People appreciate boundaries, and they appreciate knowing who you are up front. So that is really what I wanted to talk about, was really having those non-negotiables, and you have to decide what that looks like and what that means to you. But I want you to look at it in terms of, what are those boundaries? Where are you not going to go? How far are you not going to go? And I can tell you that sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you're like, well, it's just a little bit. But for me, if it's on the line, I'm good. I'm good, because I believe it'll come back around, just like I just told you guys it did. I gave up that, but I was able to land an interview with a woman that I really, really wanted to interview, and not just for numbers, but for her story, right? Because that's what we do at Portia Scott Media, is that we are creating a kinder world through storytelling. And so if you're not kind, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm probably not the one one for you. Somebody else is, but I am not the one for you. And so just standing firm on that, just standing firm on who we are, standing firm on our boundaries, standing firm on our values and what that means to us. Standing firm on that, not allowing society and not allowing the pretty and the big and the successful to change that. And so I don't know. I'm really, really passionate about it because I know being in that situation really was like, you called you got the wrong person. I'm not her. I'm not her. But yes, you guys. So that was so good. You guys, thank you so much. Candy said, this is good. Thank you so much, darling. Thank you so much for joining. Craig said, yes, ma'am. That's it. We need our boundaries. Yes, we absolutely need our boundaries and our non-negotiables. Pastor Jones said, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing. Yes. Elizabeth said, good wisdom, good wisdom. Thank you guys. Thank you always for joining. Thank you guys that joined yesterday when we did the live recording of the Wake Up and Show Up podcast. Man, that was so much fun. So much fun. Thomas said, hello, hello, darling. That's my brother. And so you guys, thank you. And I think that's really where it is. It's kind of taking this time to think about, what are some of my non-negotiables? Maybe I don't fit in with the cool kids, but the cool kids should be trying to fit in with me. And these are the requirements in order to fit in with the cool kids. Yes, go ahead. Look at God at Portia Scott Media. Yes, yes, yes. So you guys, thank you so much. As always, we are here. We are here when? We are here Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time every single day, Monday through Friday. And then on Sundays, we're here with our weekly COVID-19 update. If you have not heard any of those, I'm telling you, go back and just listen to the last one. Today, I'm actually out here getting ready to go and get my own COVID-19 test. So I'm going to document a little bit of that because I do the weekly show. So I do want to document it and tell you guys that it's okay. It's okay to get tested. My husband got tested yesterday. And then I'm going to get tested today because it's just so important that we know our status, as we say on the weekly COVID-19. So you guys, as always, if you are loving this content, number one, share. Number two, text the phrase wake up to 31996 so you are alerted when we go live. We usually send a reminder on Mondays. And then on Thursdays, we send a reminder about the show going live, the podcast, and we try to send some inspiration and empowerment as well. So sign up for that. It is wake up to 31996. You'll always be in the know. We do not spam you, and I try to keep them short, sweet, and to the point. And until next time, you guys, this is our declaration. Every single show, we end it with this. Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today, I will show up. I'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel.